Manny Machado is now and forever going to be a San Diego Padre. All you Met fans believed after Carlos Correa and the New York Mets backed out of that contract that Manny Machado, it was a foregone conclusion, was going to be the third baseman for the New York Mets in 2024. And ladies and gentlemen, that is not going to happen. Not Stevie Cohen opening up his pockets and paying our friend Manny $350 million for probably 9 years and giving him more up top. Manny decides at the age of 31, going to be 32, to take an 11-year deal, which will make him a San Diego Padre till the age of practically 43. Is he going to play to 43? Probably not. But they're going to pay him. And I know all the Met fans are going to speak about Ohtani, and that's where he's going to go now. The Mets are going to spend $500, $600. They're going to outbid the Dodgers in San Francisco so they can draw Ohtani like they did for Verlander and Max Scherzer. Ohtani is not leaving the West Coast. Losing out on Manny Machado hurts the Mets. I'm sure there'll be other players that become available, maybe not at the talent of Manny Machado. They have to hope that Beatty becomes the defensive player they want him to be this year. He's got pop. He's got power. He can hit for average. He's just not a defensive player. You have to be an outstanding defensive player at third. Beatty is probably, at best, a first baseman. And now with Pete Alonso there, you have no room for him. Then you're going to put him in the outfield.
Yeah, corner outfield.
Yeah, as a left fielder. It's not easy to go out there when you've barely played in the outfield in your career.
And that means they're going to have to rotate either Canna or Marte back into center field with Nimmo if Nimmo ends up being hurt at any point or somebody has to DH. Sometimes we see Canna DH, but maybe we'll see Beatty DH.
So now are you going after Soto? Are the Padres going to let Soto go? And who's to say they don't extend him? For all those Met fans that are sitting here and saying, we have the richest owner in baseball. Who cares? We'll pay for it. He's been doing that for the last 2 years, guys. Have the Mets made the NLCS? Has the Mets made it to the second round? So spending over $1 billion in 2 years, do you think spending another $500 or $600 million for one player is going to make a difference? The answer is no.
And this is what happens when you pay another older pitcher a contract that Max Scherzer
senior
just got.
Citizens.
You're not going to have leeway to trade for guys that, one, are going to be more durable. Not that that matters with the Mets. Everyone gets hurt with the Mets anyway, but still has durability track records throughout his career.
Just think about this. The Mets have 3 pitchers on their roster right now. 2 of them are going to be 40 years old going into this season. They have 3 pitchers that are older than any of the Yankees starting pitchers on their roster.
And the one that the Yankees signed this offseason was the main guy I wanted the Mets to go after, and I would have given him for 7 years and $30 million. Carlos Rodon.
Who's only 29 years old.
Who's only 29 years old and has been, besides the beginning of his career, has been relatively healthy the last 4 years and has put up fantastic numbers with 2 different teams, too. That was the move I was hoping the Mets would make and have some leeway where they can go after a hitter like a Manny Machado, or maybe down the road Juan Soto, who's young, durable, and a fantastic contact hitter in addition to power. Or Ohtani, again, not as realistic because you're right, he wants to be on the West Coast, but especially now losing out on Correa like a lot of Mets fans wanted, Machado was the next one to be thought of, but not anymore. That's going to be something that the Mets are going to have to explore either in quantity, where they're going to have to get 2 players to get the combined production that are younger, or they're going to have to spread it out with a lot of pitching depth because the Mets do not have a lot of leeway if somebody gets hurt in that rotation, and they're going to have to trust a lot of these younger pitchers to pitch in many different roles.
Yeah, that's the problem, because every Met fan is speaking about free agency where they should be worried about their farm system. And that's what I believe Steve Cohen is trying to build. This is something that Brodie Van Wagenen didn't really do. This is something that the Mets have lacked year in and year out for the last 15 years.
Especially with hitters.
And that's why the Mets need to decide on where they're going with this roster. Is this roster going to have a core of players like Nimmo, like McNeil, like Alonso, like obviously Beatty, guys that came from their farm system? The Yankees did it for years. And they're doing it now with Judge and Torres, which they did trade for, but he never played in the majors. He's still part of their farm system. And now the new guys, the baby bombers, the Dominguezes, the Volpes, the Perezas. These are all guys that came from the Yankees farm system, the core of players that the Yankees are going to start to build around, who are fantastic young players.